And I'm reading Ahab, y'all. We're talking about. Okay, now on the other hand, Ahab was wounded by a random arrow, but he fought on. Okay, when he could no longer stand, he had himself propped up so he could still see the fighting. He was a warrior as well as a diplomat. He had to be because Ben Hadad, the king of Damascus, engaged him into three separate wars. Okay, uh, Ahab's men, Ahab's main enemy was the Assyrians, King Shalmaneser III. Okay, Ahab led the coalition of 12 kings who fought Shalmaneser at Quagga in Syria, one of the great battles of the ancient world. Ahab provided 10,000 infantry and 2,500 chariots. Wow, that story goes down in history. Look at that. Two names that you don't hear talked about on a regular basis. But this one, they fought one of the most significant battles, one of the great battles of the ancient world. Isn't that one of the great battles they fought? And if you want to know what they did and how they did it, get a copy of Bible Warrior Series 5, Omri and Ahab. Bible Warrior Series 6, Jehu. How many of y'all heard of Jehu? Okay, Jehu is the one who had Jezebel killed. He was the one who went to the outside of the house and said, "Who's on my side?" And the two inks came forward and he said, "Throw out the window." They threw out the window so ferociously her blood splattered up against the walls and the buildings outside. Of course, she died instantly. He left her there, went and got something to eat. When he came back, he decided he was going to give her an official burial. After all, she was the daughter of a king and married to a king. But when they got back, all that was there was her head, her hands, and her feet, the skeletons. Okay, they had licked the blood of her bones and devoured the flesh of her body. Okay, even dogs didn't want to touch her hands, feet. And that information you can find in my book, Vengeance is Mine, said the Lord, I will repay. Right now we're talking about Jehu, the one who killed Jezebel. The destroyer is destroyed. Okay, and again, the book consists of the New Living Translation I use that in here, and my questions and answers and a summary in the back of the book. Okay, now, according to the Bible, Jehu condemned the house of Baasha, king of Israel, accusing him of leading the people into sin, like his predecessor Jeroboam. Jehu's words were fulfilled in the reign of Elah, Baasha's son, when the traitor Zimri, assassinated Elah and murdered all of Baasha's family and associates. Remember who was Zimri? Zimri was Omri's father, right? And Omri was Ahab's father. Okay, Elah and murdered all of Baasha's family and associates. Jehu also challenged Jehoshaphat, king of Judah. Jehoshaphat's alliance with Ahab ended up in the latter's death at the Battle of Ramoth Gilead. That's what happened. We talked about Omri and Ahab. That's how they died, because these guys are responsible for that. Okay, Jezebel was the power behind the throne, however, because she owned practically everything. She was married to a king and she was the daughter of a king. So their marriage formed an economic alliance, you know. Um, Jezebel was the power behind the throne. Ahab and Jezebel allowed temples of Baal to operate in Israel, and that religion received royal patronage. Okay, share the story with the entire family. That in a royal patronage, honey. Okay. Next one is Series 7, The Rise and Fall of Saul. Bible Warrior Series, The Rise and Fall of Saul. Saul is a perfect example of what not to do. Okay, I gotta move quickly. This is the rise and fall of Saul. Okay, so on the day of the battle, none of the people of Israel had a sword or spear except for Saul and Jonathan. Meanwhile, Saul had his 600 men were camped on the outskirts of Gibeon, around the pomegranate tree in Migron. Suddenly, panic broke out of the Philistine army, both in the camp and in the field, including even the outposts of the raiding parties. And just then the earthquake struck, and everyone was terrified. Then Saul and all his men rushed out to the battle and found the Philistines killing each other. Okay, there was terrible confusion everywhere. Okay, terrible confusion everywhere. You know, you want to find out how you can get the enemies to kill themselves? All right, get a copy of this Bible, because Saul knew how to do it. He got the Philistines killing each other. They didn't have to do nothing. He sent them home. Had he not sent them home, he probably killed them all that day. And then then he might have been saved. Next one is Bible Warrior Series 8, Ezekiel. You know how Ezekiel saw the wheel way up in the middle of the air, right? Okay, Ezekiel, Ezekiel, Ezekiel as the divine warrior riding in his battle chariot. The chariot is drawn by 4 living creatures, each having 4 faces of a man, lion, an ox, and an eagle, and 4 wings, beside each living creature. It is a wheel within a wheel, with tall and awesome. Tall and awesome. Rims full of eyes all around. God commissions Ezekiel to be the prophet and the watchman in Israel. Son of man, I am sending you to the Israelites. The Jewish exile will come to an end in the new city, and the new temple will be built, and the Israelites will be gathered and blessed as never before. This is a great story to read about God's punishment on worshippers of idolatry and how God exerts his vengeance on those who don't obey his commandments. And also to find out how Ezekiel saw the wheel way up in the middle of the air. What did it really mean? Did I say Ezekiel? Yep, Ezekiel. Yep. That's 8. 9 is Hezekiah. And 10 is Jephthah. 9 is Hezekiah and 10 is Jephthah. Now briefly, see if I can get to the point here. I'm not sure if I can. Available on highwaytoheavenchurch.net. Now during the reign of King Hezekiah of Judah, these leaders of Simeon invaded the region and completely destroyed the homes of the descendants of Ham and all of the Meunites. No trace of them remains today. They killed everyone who lived there and took the land for themselves because they wanted its good pasteurized land for their flocks. Isn't that amazing? They wanted it for their flocks. So they said, hey, I'm taking it. This is what I want, and I'm getting it. It's mine. It's mine. Now the king Hezekiah and the prophet Isaiah, son of Amos, cried out in a prayer to God to heaven, and the Lord sent an angel who worshipped the Assyrian army with all its commanders and officers. So Sennacherib was forced to return home in disgrace to his own land, and when he entered the temple of his gods, some of his own sons killed him, right there with a sword. We're talking about Hezekiah, y'all. Biblical story of Hezekiah, just 9. And the last and final one is talking about Jephthah. And a lot of y'all I know haven't heard, and these books are available on highwaytoheavenchurch.net. Jephthah was born in a cruel world. His father already had a family. Jephthah himself was illegitimate, and his mother was a prostitute. How many of y'all got a... I ain't gonna even go there. Prostitute in a society where family heredity is important. And when his father died and the inheritance was divided, Jephthah's legitimate half-brothers drove him off. He was forced to live a life of a bandit, gathering a motley group of thugs, thieves around him, so he was considered a social outcast. Despite his bad beginning, Jephthah was victorious, a national hero. His story would have been forgotten had not Jephthah, just prior to his battle, bargained with God. The wheel turned when war emerged for the Israelites. He was counted by the very people who had. He was courted by the very people who had thrown him out. Courted by the very people who had thrown him out. Isn't that terrible? They're gonna throw you out, and now you're gonna come back for my help. And they knew him as a prowess fighter, and they needed his help. And this time he bargained with them. I'll fight for you, he said, but on my terms. Find out what happens in the Bible Warrior Series 10, Jephthah, and get all 10 of them on highwaytoheavenchurch.net. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for joining me today for Real Estate, Religion, and You. And I want to invite you to join me here every Wednesday, 6:30 to 7 p.m., right here on Time Warner Public Access TV Channel 20. And also you can visit me on Saturdays at 12:30 to 1 right here on Time Warner Public Access TV Channel 20. And I invite you to hit me up on Facebook at Dr. Sylvia Black. Visit my YouTube address at sblack3001. For your copy of this video, you can get a free promo video. Just email me at sblack@highwaytoheavenchurch.net. And hit me up on Facebook, Dr. Sylvia Black. I have my master's degree in sacred theological divinity. This is a great Sunday school program for the little ones. Why can't they learn about God too while their parents are in church? They can't. They're too little. No, we got something for them too now. So there's no excuse. Okay, you can find me right here next week at Wednesday at 6:30 to 7, where we'll be talking about some more warriors of the Bible. Peace out.